Alrighty, guys, recording has started. Good afternoon to everyone. Hope we're all doing well today. It's going to be our fourth episode for our quality education podcast with me and Mr. David Cardona. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Mazrui, right?
Yes, you got it.
All right, from USF's Academic Success Center.
Having
So, David, would you like to start us with the questions?
Yeah, we can go ahead and get into it. Before we fully get started, are you comfortable being recorded for this?
absolutely.
All right. So obviously we already mentioned your name, but if you want to give everyone kind of an idea of your profession and what you do and where you work, that sort of thing.
Sure. So my name is Will Forde-Mazrui, as you said. I'm the Assistant Director of Tutoring and Writing Services at the Academic Success Center. That's just a long title to just say that I basically oversee in-person STEM tutoring here at the ASC, as well as the writing studio. Um, yeah, that's my profession. This is my right now ending my third academic year in this position.
That was going to be my follow-up question is how long you
Yes.
worked at the position and then maybe in USF as a whole as well.
All right, so as a whole, so I started at USF in 2015 as a graduate student in the PhD program for the Department of English. I don't know why that was so hard to say. So I was a GA here for several years. I was then an adjunct while I was finishing my PhD, and then right now I am what's considered ABD, which is all but dissertation. I did not. I have one chapter done out of three. Um, But while I was a GA, part of my job responsibility is one that I did was worked in the writing studio. I started there as a tutor in 2016. In 2017, I became a coordinator there. And that's kind of what led me to this position today was some experience here that I really was really formative for me in the education field. And so I ended up running back here as soon as I could.
That kind of leads into my next question for you, which what brought you into the education field as a career?
So I always wanted to work in education as far back as I can remember, but I thought I wanted to be an English teacher. Then I quickly realized I'm maybe not made for high school education, which is what I initially thought I was going to want to do. Um, and I wanted to be a full-time professor. But as I said, like while I was working here, at the USF Writing Studio, I really enjoyed the work and getting to touch students on a more personal one-on-one basis. I know professors get to see a lot of students, but I think we see more in a day than I did as a teacher, and so I feel like I get a wider impact. And students are in the ASC because they want to be. And that was there's no kind of requirement to be here, so that kind of really inspired me, like seeing students like really trying to better themselves. So that's how I ended up finding my way to administration and kind of the alt ac side of academia.
You mentioned the Academic Success Center, how it's able to help so many students. I'm just curious how would you say the office as a whole helps improve education for students and improving their success as a whole?
Okay. So for me, I think pretty much everything we do is that's our thing, right? We focus on improving the student experience, especially in terms of education specifically. We provide a lot of support for those foundational early level classes that students need to progress in their degrees, to progress towards their careers. And so I think what we really do is not only help them with content, but we help them build confidence. We help them build a foundational understanding of the fields that they want to go into. And so that is really, I think, important for me. Um, so a lot of those courses like Gen Chem, Orgo, Calculus, Physics, like you need to take those before you can take a lot of the other like genetics, biochem, things like that to become a doctor, right? So we're here to kind of build and grow kind of foundational for students. And um, so we have like a lot of different ways that we do that. We do that through supplemental instruction, which is embedded tutoring. We do it through online tutoring, which is one of our newest. I hope maybe we'll get to talk about technology in a little bit. And so I'll talk about that a little bit. And then the writing studio, of course, supports all courses at any level of writing. So I think, that's really what our office does is we provide a place for students to come and kind of network, grow their skills, and become stronger students first before we worry about what the grades are.
You mentioned the writing studio, online tutoring, a lot of different forms of the resources. Just kind of go in a little bit, if you can, of what the extra resources really do and what they provide to the students that maybe other opportunities might not.
So I think a lot of people are kind of familiar with general tutoring, right? What we do in tutoring, but we also have a lot of other services here. One of them that we are that I think focuses on these foundations, like I said, is academic peer mentoring is one that we do. Our academic peer mentors meet one-on-one with students and they help them with things like procrastination, time management, um, how to register for classes, like a lot of the stuff that students maybe, especially like first gen students or international students, might not be as familiar with some of the um, like how to approach those things because maybe their parents haven't taught them. And so we love that we can provide that through the peer mentors. Also, Portal it's online tutoring, so that is really great for 4 to 9 or 4 to 8, I think is what we do. And then on Sundays, so it's a little bit of a non-traditional timing, which can really help with students who maybe don't want to come to campus or can't. The writing studio focuses on every class's writing that they do. The student tutors can help with. They're all peer tutors that take a course with me every spring, which is really exciting to teach. And they can kind of focus on kind of the big picture. We try to help students become better writers, not turn in better papers. I think in the long run, one paper being better is not as helpful as you becoming a better writer. So yes, we like to improve the piece that comes in, but we kind of focus on the fundamentals of the writing, argumentation, flow, more so than like grammar, which you can get from other sources. And then what else do we have? PASS, which is our SI. SI is supplemental instruction. So these are courses where we have a student leader who is embedded in a course. Usually these are those high difficulty courses, organic chemistry, gen chem, and we're doing statics right now. So a student who's already taken the course and succeeded will sit in that course with the students and then hold study sessions and tutoring with them throughout the semester, which really helps students kind of have someone with them who knows the material really well, but also can guide them in how to succeed in that course in a way that a one-on-one tutoring or a group tutoring session doesn't really. So those are all of our many services that we have.
You mentioned a lot of good ones there. I'll have Josiah ask a couple questions for you that are a little more specific that we were interested in asking you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of you what you just went over is pretty good. Like I really like how you guys focus on the fundamentals. You see this in a lot of things. You know that old saying, you can take a, if you teach a man to, or if you give a man a fish, he's fed for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he's fed for life. Stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah. That's definitely one of our philosophies. Oh, I forgot to
So,
mention peer math coaching. It's new, and I just helped build it. So peer math coaching is one of our newest things. It's very similar to the academic peer mentors, but focused on math. So a lot of students come in to the university system with gaps in their mathematics background. I certainly would have been one had I had this opportunity to use this kind of service. I would have loved it when I was in college, but basically what they do, these mentors, is they help students learn how do you take notes for math, how do you study for math, how do you overcome math anxiety, and then also they help them with those fundamental math skills like functions that maybe they forgot since high school. So it helps them kind of prepare for college level math. Sorry,
no, but
gonna
it's
plug
totally
my new
fine.
one there.
Yeah, no, please brag about your accomplishments. It's always
Thank
impressive to
you.
have such I guess, yeah, accomplished people to come on and help us out. So the first more specific question we have for you is, what are your thoughts on the use of AI in academics? And this could be as broad as just like implementing things like math solvers, like maybe on the teacher end, or things such as like having students rely on ChatGPT or whatever other AI programs there are out there for like things like math or even science?
So I am kind of two minds when it comes to AI. I think to pretend that students aren't using it is doing yourself a disservice as a teacher, right? We know that everyone is using it. Um, so what I think is important is how do we approach using it ethically, and how do we approach using it in a way that allows students to still learn? Um, because for me, I think what I, well, USF has a good policy right now, which is basically like each department is deciding how AI functions best for them, and implementing it in classes. So, for example, in my class, I don't mind if students use AI, especially in the building and beginning parts of a paper, but I want to see the research done by them and the writing done by them. Now, if you clean up a paper with AI, I understand that. But an AI can't think for you, and it can't research as effectively as the human can. Um, it may gather a lot of materials, but do you know if those are accurate or not, or real or not? And unfortunately, sometimes they aren't actually even real sources that AI pulls up. Um, or it'll use a study and then not read it, so you won't know exactly what's happening, right? So I think there are great benefits to AI in terms of, as you said, like for math. I think if you're studying for a math test and you want to try the same type of problem a lot of times, and you're running out of, you've done all of your problems that your professor gave you. Well, ChatGPT can build you a problem set that you can try, right? Can it explain to you the little part of the questions that you're getting wrong, though? I'm not sure how effective it is at that. So that's where I would say a tutor would be better. But I do think that there are, benefits to it, and I try to use it in my own life a little bit so that I can guide students appropriately, at least for my own classes. Like, where do I think it works best? I think again, pretending that it's going to go away anytime soon, I think would be um, irresponsible of me. So I have to. I'm doing my best to learn about it, but it grows and changes so quickly. That I am not an expert, but I'll get there one day.
All right. I kind of like that approach. It does depend on like a more case by case basis in the application of use of AI. Like I know personally, I try not to rely on it. I made it through like a majority of high school writing my own papers and doing that, so I don't really rely on it for too much besides like you said, like a little bit of cleaning up or getting some extra of like what I can't find on my own. So next
Sometimes it's
question.
good to help with like an outline too, right? Like
Hmm.
I want to say this, like how could I break it up and put it in order, right? I think
Yeah.
like that could be really helpful, but then you should then do that kind of cognitive work. Um, because what if you get to the test or the a job and then they're like, "Oh, you did this thing. How did you learn it?" If you didn't really learn it and something else did it for you, then you're going to struggle.
Hmm.
So I think that would be for me. I would say like that's my warning of it. Is like make sure you learn.
Yeah. Do you
Sorry.
have any concerns? No, you're right. Do you have any concerns for younger or incoming students?
Um, this is a hard one for me. I do think AI does kind of build into this really well. I think what I have seen over the years that I've been teaching here and working here is that students, not all students, but some have come in a little bit less prepared on the fundamentals than they were maybe 10, 15 years ago. And my worry is that AI is part of that. I think if we're not using AI appropriately from a young age. I have an 8-year old who's in third grade, and I'm working with him every day when he watches videos. Like, this is fake, right? Like, this is made by AI, right? Like, so we're trying to like build that understanding and background in the critical thinking. Is this video about Ronaldo real, right? Like, probably not, but my kid's obsessed with Ronaldo, so we're gonna watch it, right? Um, and I think as he gets older, it's only going to be more prevalent. So it's scary to think that he may go into high school and never write a paper for himself, or he'll know people that don't do that. So my that's one of my only concerns for incoming younger students is helping them, and that's what we do here to kind of build those fundamentals that they may have missed. So I think that's where departments like mine are really important.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I like that you're taking the kind of like growing, I'm not sure if threat would be the right word, but like growing prevalence of AI and trying to use that as a way to kind of nurture your own child into engaging with it appropriately. Like pointing out, okay, yeah, we're gonna watch this because it's something you like, but you have to realize this isn't real. This wasn't like made by someone. This didn't actually happen.
It can be hard. Some of it is really good, uh,
Hmm.
really realistic. So, you know, kind of getting students to think and getting my son to think of things like what is kind of the purpose behind this? Why was it made? And that kind of critical thinking can really help them in other ways as well.
Yeah, and talking about it now, it kind of reminds me more of how important it is to properly teach children how to interact with like fictional media, because it is very similar with AI, where it's like generating kind of new stories, but more problem with or the problem with AI is that a lot of it is presented in reality as something that like actually happened.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Okay. For the next question, I want to ask, do you think USF provides a high standard for both education and education assistance?
So I do, yes. I think first of all, I think USF, as we've seen over the past 5 or so years, has really jumped in rankings. Joining the AAU was huge. I think the professors here, the staff here, really help provide a huge range of educational experiences for students that are world class. Um, so I think like a lot of what's done kind of behind the scenes, maybe students don't know much about. Is things like these core classes are what's called coordinated, right? And so there may be 100 sections of Calc One, or not 100 Calc One, 100 of Comp, and 30 of Calc One, and all these kinds of courses, but they're built and written in such a way that every student has a similar experience, regardless of who the professor is, regardless of who's in that class. You're okay. Muted. Okay, good. So for me, I think that really speaks to the dedication of schools like USF to provide a high level of education that is accessible to each student that comes here. Um, so yeah, I think that is important. Also, I think USF has a lot of departments from student accessibility services to like the TRIO program, student support services, the Academic Success Center. I think a lot of departments on campus are geared towards educational support and making sure that students can take advantage of um, the wonderful education that we have here.
That's a good point there. You mentioned the AAU and joining that. That actually was a great point you made about being able to be a part of that and using that to help enhance it. I'll go ahead and ask the next question here. Essentially, do you believe, oh no, sorry, that's the last question. What I meant to say is, what do you do as a part of the Success Center that helps make sure that the department is accessible to students that are from maybe more diverse backgrounds or say academic backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, economic backgrounds? What do you guys do to make sure that the department is accessible to any and all students, regardless of, their prior background to it?
Absolutely. So I think one thing that our department does, we kind of do our best to be at every table that we're invited to. Um, One of our goals is to make sure that every student at USF is aware of what services we have and how to access them, and that all services that we have are for all students that go here. Um, and I think for me, like whenever we're asked to join an event, present information, collaborate on a project, we do our absolute best to make sure that we're at that table, um, so that every student can come here and see themselves represented in our staff, see themselves represented in our marketing. We do our best to make sure that all students feel comfortable here.
All right. That's good. I apologize for the interruption I had. But
No
now back
worries.
to questions. Um, I think we're kind of getting close to the end of the time for our interview. So one of the last questions I would like to ask you is, from your perspective, what does a quality education mean in a university context like USF?
Okay. That's a big question. So as for my perspective, I think quality education really has for me two parts. Um, the first is like a solid core of education and courses for students in each major that kind of give them the ability to be successful when they leave the college experience. Um, and helps them be successful in their chosen field. And then for me, like the second thing personally about a quality education that's important is kind of a broad education. And I think USF and other four-year universities do kind of provide this by like through things that I hear students complain about a little bit sometimes, but the requirements of a major that aren't necessarily the core. You'll see that people leave with an experience in social sciences and STEM and humanities, regardless of whatever their chosen field is. And so they kind of it makes for more well-rounded humans, right? That have experiences and ideas that are brought to them from a variety of experiences. And so, like overall, I guess what a quality education really means to me is making sure that students are prepared for the world beyond university. Whether that means entering the workforce right away or going to grad school, I think it's part of a university's mission to help you as students to be ready. Obviously, like the University of USF, we can't do that for you, but what we can do is we can provide you with the experiences that students need to be successful and set it up so that students are able to take advantage of those opportunities, which I think so many students here at USF are so amazingly involved and taking advantage of those things. And so, yeah, I would think that that's what I think quality education is, both broad and um,
More narrow, more specific?
both. Yeah, at the same time. Yes.
Right. Well, I think that was a really solid answer, and I do agree. I do have friends in more, I'd say, yeah, let's say STEM majors, more engineering, mathematical, science-based, and not all of them complain about it. Having to take outside courses more in like the elective field. I do feel like it's important to get, um, or to have classes such as those in like the communication or ethics field taught to everyone because I've seen people just have those courses whether they're in the major or not, and then actually come out with like very solid improvements in their worldview in like several key ways. So
Absolutely.
I'll allow David to give some of his thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think you touched a great point with the broad and the narrow, both contexts. I think the importance of it is making sure that we're doing better both as ourselves and academically. And if we're able to do better at presenting ourselves and getting better opinion about certain things, if like communication aspects, both the many forms of communication, public speaking, all that stuff can lead into having more success academically and being more willing to learn academically too. Because I can imagine that one of the struggles with getting people to come to the success center is that fear of like, if I go there, maybe I'm going to be way more behind than I thought, or it's going to be more difficult for me than some of the other kids. And, that can get to their head as well. So just being able to be open about it and just being able to express that interest in trying to get better in all facets of it, not just in education, is one of the key things of human growth.
And I think we see a lot of students who maybe there's a stigma about going to tutoring means you're not smart or that you don't know what you're doing. A large majority of the students that come into our center are very high achieving students that maybe just need a little bit of extra support um, in like calculus or something. But you know, for the most part, it's students who are here to just increase their already strong um, skills. And so kind of getting rid of or combating that stigma is important to me um, as we kind of move forward with the new generations of students coming in.
All right then. we appreciate you coming here to speak with us, Mr. Mazrui, and giving us all this insight and your thoughts and opinions on the current state of education, especially here at USF. David, do you have any final thoughts?
Not just kind of what you said. We really appreciate you coming here and helping us out with this. It's important to get more people hearing about it. Hopefully, people listening to this maybe not have known about the success and are now going to be interested in going and gaining more experience in terms of enhancing education stuff like that. So just really appreciate you taking the time.
And
But
before,
for giving me the opportunity to come talk to you, it was great.
yep, and then do you have any questions for us?
So I guess what are some of the other people you're talking to, and how have these conversations about education been going for you?
Well, I know no, I was gonna say last week, but on Monday,
Monday.
yeah, Monday we spoke with someone from the Office of Parent Success, more on the side of military connected families and students using education benefits and doing stuff like certifications here at USF. I think we had a pretty good conversation, got pretty good understanding of how many students are using education benefits to go to USF and how someone from a military background views education. And then even outside of the interviews and the episodes we've been doing for the podcast, I feel like both me and David have learned a good amount more about like the more local level of education, especially when it comes to volunteer experiences or opportunities and how we students can make an impact.
It's awesome. Doing great work, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, then I'll move to end this meeting. Again,
All
thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you
Have a
for your
great day.
time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.